and you have now entered the cosmic radio receptors of KCRW 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon. Thank you for tuning into this week's interesting program. I'm Dr. Gigi, and my co-host is, as always, Jacques Kepner. How are you today, Jacques?
Parlez-vous français, mademoiselle? I'm the chef today. I'm wearing my chef jacket.
Jacques.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Doc and Jacques Radio Variety Show. Special thanks to engineer Tom Bozak. Hey, Tom, thank you for being in that booth. And where is Ray Simon? He's not in the booth today, but we might catch up with him in just a bit. Linda Bozak out there listening, and Michael Gorse and Rick and Ray, and if anybody else is out there, thank you for tuning in to this show, this live show here on KCIW 100.7. I want to let you know that this exact same show, today's show, will be syndicated and broadcast next week at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, every Wednesday on KZZH 96.7 FM in Eureka, Humboldt. So this show has a really pertinent note for all of you people to the south of Crescent City and Brookings, where we are. Listen in on today's show because it does affect you. And then a few hours later on that same Wednesday, a week from now, this show will be heard at 1 p.m. on my old alma mater, KFUG, 101.1 FM in Crescent City, California. So now you know. The Dr. Gigi and I have your coasts covered. Okay, it's that time when good medicine and health tips, such as presented by my German medical doctor, who holds not 1, 2, 3, but I found out 4 patents in your own name, and university professor and Dr. Gigi Reed. What medical marvels do you have for us today on this week's segment of MDGG?
Why, thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
Today it won't be as fun because you won't have a lot of jokes to say to our MD10. Today I will be discussing post-traumatic stress disorder, or
PTSD, I know.
which is a mental health condition that can develop after someone lives through or witnesses a traumatic event that felt overwhelming, terrifying, or life-threatening.
I wonder how long PTSD has been around. I mean, when did they, I don't know. Do you know that? It's been around as long as you've been a doctor. You've dealt with it.
Oh, yeah. It's been, for a long time.
Okay.
It's not a sign of weakness, mind you. It is when the brain and body remain stuck, so to speak, in a survival mode long after the danger has passed.
Okay.
When we talk about PTSD, we mean a cluster or different kinds of symptoms that start after trauma and interfere with the day-to-day life. So let's see some common symptoms.
Okay.
Some people have intrusion thoughts, unwanted memories, nightmares, or flashbacks that feel like the event is happening again.
Is that kind of maybe something like shell-shocked?
Yeah.
I've witnessed a woman, an Iraqi that was in the States visiting, that had gone through the Gulf War in 91. And she came to the States after this, and we were in Fremont, California, and a plane flew overhead, and she freaked out and jumped under the table because it brought back her shell shock. She was out of it. She was completely crazed because she had experienced that horrible.
Yeah, that would be the hyperarousal, being on edge, jumpy, easily startled, having trouble sleeping, irritable.
That's me 24/7.
Right, and that lady. People have avoidance, steering clear of reminders of the trauma, including people that they don't want to see, places, conversations, or even feelings.
Interesting.
And some other negative changes in mood are always apparent. They always or often feel detached or numb, have guilt or shame, have loss of interest, persistent negative beliefs like I'm broken or the world's completely unsafe.
So that's bordering on the area of what, schizophrenic almost?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, you can, if you overdo it. So there are some diseases, which I will talk about in a second, that might seem similar. But all these signs can come only one or all of them together within PTSD.
Wow. Well, PTSD goes well with our theme and guest today, as Wes Bruning and Ray Simon will be talking about the...
Ray Simon is there.
Yeah, there's Ray Simon. He's in the studio with us today. He's not in the engineer's booth. So that brings him back into the fold. Okay, they'll be talking about the Cascadian event or a disaster that we are literally sitting right on top of. But we'll get around to that in just a moment. Continue with PTSD, Doc.
Okay, so PTSD always begins with the exposure of a traumatic event, which can be, it's well known in combat or war, physical or sexual assault, or other interpersonal violence.
I'm not going to have to. What?
Serious accidents, car crashes, workplace injuries.
Yeah, bad, huh?
Natural disasters.
Well, there it is. That's her. That's
volcanoes, fires, terrorist attacks.
Yikes.
Yeah. So some of them we will discuss today.
Okay.
Sudden loss of a loved one or life-threatening medical events.
That's a big one, right? The loss, the grief issue is huge when you lose your...
Right, and there's grief and there's PTSD, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Totally separate. Okay.
Not everyone who goes through certain traumas actually develops PTSD. So there are different multiple contributing factors to consider.
Okay.
For example, if there are repeated or severe trauma patterns, especially in childhood, when we don't know how to work on those experiences.
We're not experienced yet. We're just children, right? Our
Or
brains.
prior traumatic history of pre-existing anxiety, depression, or other mental health conditions. So mental health like depression or anxiety doesn't mean it's PTSD, but if you have it, you might be in a higher risk group to actually get PTSD in a traumatic event. If you have a lack of social support after the event, highly likely you develop PTSD. Certainly, if you're physically injured during the trauma, you can never forget the
Which you
physical
could
injury.
be when the Cascadian event comes down.
Yeah. Family history, actually, of mental health also is a strong association of experiencing PTSD with certain traumatic events. Yep.
And then TBI.
So other conditions can look similar or can occur together. Now we're getting to your thing. Depression and generalized anxiety share the sleep disturbances, the low mood, the worry, not being weak, just not having interest in anything. Or here's your TBI, traumatic brain injury, can overlap in concentration, memory issues, irritability, but it involves a direct brain injury.
Okay.
And so it's because
All
of the
right,
brain
back up just a little bit here. How many patients do you see and how do you treat PTSD?
We treat them with medication because that's what we do.
We just put them on like antidepressants or...
Yeah, usually they're antidepressants such as serotonin. So what they have found is that people with PTSD, similar to anxiety or depression, have low serotonin. So we often use serotonin reuptake inhibitors, SSRIs, such as Zoloft or
I've heard this.
Or
Psychedelics.
SNRIs.
Psychedelics and microdosing has helped.
Right? Obviously we can't prescribe that. And it does. So a lot of people do self-medicate with psychedelics or other drugs.
You don't need to prescribe it. I mean, Ray Simon always
alcohol. You're the only one laughing. I'm sorry.
He's always got...
He is laughing, but he's trying not to.
But so that's how you treated it. You just basically...
Yeah, and so then and then sometimes you can't distinguish between, is this now a substance abuse problem or is it a PTSD problem that has caused a substance abuse problem? And either way, now you have a substance abuse problem that if people know it's actually caused by something else, maybe they will be less harsh.
It's big in VA hospitals. I know that because of people that have experienced trauma in war.
Yeah, that is at least double, if not triple, the occurrence of PTSD is in combatant veterans.
Horrible. Anything else, Doc?
Oh, I'm done.
All right. Well, thank you for that. We need to return to this a little bit because, again, let's discuss sometime about what options are out there. And on the cutting edge, I have heard like they're giving microdoses of mushrooms, or the people that go in those isolation tanks or those pods.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's therapy. As a matter of fact,
oxygen,
the best,
right?
The best treatment is therapy, is actually talking through the event so people can I just can't do it. We can refer, but if they talk about the event, if they can process it, if they get helped in processing the event, there is pretty good outcome. It's basically how to deal with those thoughts and moods and such.
Yeah, and mental health is with us, and there's no shame
Hard,
in it. I
hard,
think it's
hard.
come out enough where people aren't shamed by saying there's need set mental health.
Oh, yeah.
And psychologists and psychiatrists and people go to therapy all the time. All right, very interesting about PTSD, and it does tie in with today's very interesting show that we are going to be going down the path. I have written a short prologue, and I'd like to read it now. From the quiet shores of the Pacific to the forested hills of Oregon's coast, right where we live, and Crescent City, and Hyuchi, and down to Klamath, and Eureka, and up to Gold Beach and beyond. There's a rumble. There is a real rumble growing deep beneath our feet. It's a sound older than our cities, older than the coastline itself. Scientists call this thing the Cascadia Subduction Zone. Let me say that again. Cascadia Subduction Zone. Essentially, it's a 600-mile stretch of fault that runs from Northern California to Vancouver Island. And for centuries, it's been locked. It collects pressure as one Pacific tectonic plate slowly grinds beneath the continental plate, right? Where the west coast ends, right off the coast. And when it finally lets go, it snaps back up in a way, so to speak. And if this happens, the Pacific Northwest could face one of the most powerful natural events in North American history, what experts refer to as the Cascadian event. Now, most of us live our lives blissfully here along the coast. So beautiful, so nice. And we are unaware that beneath our own backyards, beneath our homes, and around our neighborhoods, there's a force capable of changing everything in just a few minutes. Imagine an earthquake so strong that it shakes cities to the core, from Eureka to Seattle and beyond, splitting highways, cutting off bridges, and setting off towering walls of water that race towards the coast, tsunamis that could arrive in minutes. And for those living along the Oregon and Northern Cal and Washington border that hug the shoreline, the warnings may be as simple as, or as final as the ground itself. Scientists have studied deep ocean cores, ancient shorelines, and native oral histories that describe days when the sea rose up and swallowed whole villages. Their findings reveal a repeating pattern. Every few centuries, this Cascadian subduction zone releases its tension and a massive rupture, with the last one striking in the year 1700. And it was an earthquake estimated to be in the magnitude of 9.0. More than 300 years have passed since then, so scientists are saying we're kind of overdue for this to happen again. The ground has been silent, but that silence, say experts, is precisely what makes them uneasy. Now, my guest today, we were talking pre-show, and we said we don't want to sound the alarms and get everybody freaked out. That's a real issue that we have to be careful today on this show, because we don't want to cause panic in our beautiful coastline. But it's something we should be fully aware of, because there's more. Off our coast, there's another feature that many of you may or may not have heard of. It's called the Atlas Seamount, which is a massive underwater volcano, and it is being quietly monitored by scientists as we speak. It is truly a monster of an underwater Vesuvius. Today, we will be hearing from the experts on the Cascadia Subduction Zone. They are two minds that are dedicated to understanding these depths of uncertainty. They'll share what is known, what's still a mystery, and most importantly, what each of us can do to prepare for something that could quite literally, reshape the entire Pacific Northwest as we know it. So stay with us as we turn our attention not to faraway headlines or distant disasters, but to the restless earth beneath our own coastlines. This will be a show based on the Cascadian event, and a question, is it just if it will happen, but when? And these gentlemen are so into tune of what is going on beneath our feet and this future event that they themselves have begun recording yet another great weekly broadcast here on KCIW 100.7 FM, and it will be called Cascadia Strong Radio. Stay tuned, because in just a few short months, in March, will be the kickoff for the Cascadia Strong Radio, and they will debut this new radio show, which will help you prepare for the future events that are surely coming our way. All right, I've gone on long enough. With that, no more verbiage from me. Let's get on the show, and I would love to introduce returning guest, Wes Bruning, and our sound engineer, now turned
Cascadian person.
broadcaster, Ray Simon. So welcome, Wes and Ray.
Well, thank you.
All right.
Yes, thanks
Thank
for
you,
coming
Jacques.
here.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me come to the other side of the glass.
Yeah, he does. You're the guy that is always on the other side of the glass.
Let me out of the room.
There you go. All right, Gigi.
All right,
get some
Wes, let's start with you. Where were you born and raised? Our standard question.
Well, actually, standard answer. I was born in San Diego. My dad was in the Navy. And so I was born in San Diego a long time ago. And we eventually ended up in Norfolk, Virginia. Dad was in the Navy. And that's where I was raised, in Virginia Beach, actually, on the East Coast.
Oh, when did you come here?
Well, I went to college again in San Diego. And one reason was I chose San Diego to go to college was it was 3,000 miles away from Virginia.
Right.
So that was its primary selling point. And so I went to college there and did a stint in the Army back in 1969, 70, and 71.
Wow.
And then went back to college, finished an engineering degree, and then moved to Oregon in 1977 from San Diego.
In 77 to the Oregon coast?
1977 to Oregon City. I was working in Tektronix up in the Portland
South
area.
of Portland, yeah.
And so then we moved down to Brookings. My wife and I moved down to Brookings just 4 years ago.
4 years. Everybody moved 4 to 5 years ago.
Yeah, and
very
so many
cool.
people from like San Diego.
Yeah.
We get a lot of guests.
Ray Simon, where were you born and raised?
I was born in Chicago
Woo!
and grew up in the Chicago metropolitan area in a few different towns.
Come on, say the big town.
Naperville, Illinois.
Because that's where
Because
I
you lived in
went when I came
Naperville.
to the States.
Yeah, when she first migrated here
That's where I think I met Chi-Chi. No.
years ago. So
Yeah.
Chicago was it, huh?
Yeah, pretty much kicked around that area for a long time and then always wanted to live on the West Coast. In my mind's eye, it was always California, and my wife, Donna, suggested
Hey, Donna,
Donna.
what's going on up there?
we look in Oregon. We went down the coast in 2015, stopped in Brookings, and kept coming back till we moved here in 2019, or bought a house and then fully moved here in like 2022.
Wow, yeah, we're all kind of the same year.
Same
coming
time.
Yeah,
same
we're all about the
time-ish,
same
huh?
time. And I got to say, these two gentlemen lived side by side along a beautiful stretch of the Brookings coastline that's very, very memorable and quite nice. And you guys met. Do we want to switch right into it? I think we could kind of start off and say a few things about you because Wes, were you fully aware of this Cascadian event, let's say 4 or 5 years ago? Have you known about it for quite a while?
Oh, yeah. When I left Virginia when I was 19, my mother at the time told me that California was going to break off and fall into the ocean. Of course, that was the San Andreas Fault.
Yeah.
So that was when I was 19, way back when.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was aware of that, but I really didn't know about the Cascadia Fault. Didn't know about that until I moved to Oregon here. And I slowly became cognizant of that. But certainly when I moved here in Brookings, it became a little more real to me.
Right. How about you, Ray? You're next door to Wes. Did you know anything about it?
Almost nothing. I mean, growing up in the Midwest, all I could hear is the concept of they're going to get a big earthquake. There's something big is going to happen. They're going to fall into, it's going to snap in half,
Right.
Whatever that conversation was about. So no, it was never on my mind. And in the Midwest, we have tornadoes, ice storms, things like that,
Yeah.
but nothing. And so I never really looked into any depth on what the perils are out in this area.
Now, how long have people, scientists, the Van Pattens, other people known about that? Because they have a little in the harbor. They have a little plaques describing the Cascadian Fault and everything. So, how long has the whole fault thing been monitored?
Well, probably just in the last, I would say, 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
That. But of course, we still have those tree stumps up north of us on the coast as a result of the massive earthquake 300 years ago, when the coast dropped 6 feet, and they had a huge tsunami that was actually registered in Japan. Remember that?
Right.
And actually, I'm told I have some friends that live a little bit north here of Brookings, and there's a rock down right on the beach that actually you can see the strata in the rocks, in the rock on the face of the.
Yeah, and you line it up.
But it's actually curved. It's very wavy.
Yeah.
And that's a result of the earthquake moving all that rocks and all those strata and making a beautiful pattern. Rainbow rock is what it's called. Right.
Oh, I've heard of
Is
Rainbow
that
Rock.
from the volcano? Was it heated up, and that's why?
No, it's just a strata that formed over the time, and then when the earthquake came, it just mangled it and created these wavy patterns.
Now, who are the Van Patens? Who actually does those predictions and follows the activity?
Oh, the geologists. Yeah, we have a preeminent geologist here in town, Bob Bush.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob, out there. And he is very conversant about this area, the geology, and understands what's going on with the Cascadia Fault and the San Andreas Fault, and very knowledgeable about it. I spent about a half an hour one time at a party talking with him about this. And he's one of the reasons that kind of piqued my interest in this whole question about what's going to happen when the Cascadia Fault really occurs.
Right.
Or the Cascadia event.
So, tell us.
Yeah. If you want to continue with that.
Embellish?
No, actually, I don't.
Okay.
No.
All right. Here's something I got to say, because what I mentioned earlier, Wes and Judy live right next to Donna and Ray, and you guys live on a cliff, basically overlooking the ocean in Brookings. I won't say where, but it's a beautiful homes. Ray, you said you kind of knew about these issues when you came out here. Then you would have never moved right on the coast, but you are perched on a cliff right over the ocean.
Yeah, so this is an interesting conversation because, like I said, living in the Midwest, this is just a background piece of information. It's not foremost in your head. And so I said the first time I came here was 15, and then in 2017 was the 4th time I visited Brookings. And I was going to stay a month, and the Chetco Bar Fire occurred. And the Chetco Bar Fire was just, I guess, something that was simmering. It was out there. Some people knew about it. And it got to a point where it potentially could have burned the city down.
Yeah, so that was a wildfire, right? The mountain.
It was a wildfire.
Yeah.
Massive spread in the mountainous areas, in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And for me, I didn't know a lot of people around here, and I could hear people talk about it. There were some warnings, and then it got to be a major problem. And to the point where I'm going to schools where they're having emergency meetings, I'm seeing up to under 1,000 firefighters brought in across the country. Now, this isn't earthquake, obviously. It's not tsunami.
It's a big fire.
It's a thing that had been going on for multiple months. And what I learned was that our town was under grave danger, and they brought a commander to the top of the command post to be in charge. I believe he was from Boston. And at the schools, he just said, if the winds change in this Chetco effect, and I'm like, what? Chetco effect?
That's the first time you heard about it. Wow.
What's this thing, right? And he explains it, and he said, if it happens this weekend again, the spread will bring it all the way through the city streets. Wow. He goes, I'm feeling much like 80% confident. Well, I'm sitting there going, wow, how are we going to get out of here? So I felt kind of helpless, scared a bit, concerned, right? I'm gathering information. And so this had gravity to it. This is something that really, stuck in my head. So now, to me, it kind of goes away. I get to go back to Illinois. I'm going back and forth every few months.
Just before you bought your house?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I come back here, and there's no more Chetco Bar Fire. And if it is, it's being put out, smoldering. So now, like most people, this goes into the back of my head, right? It recedes in importance. Like, okay. Yeah. So I do a little research, and I go, I wonder how often this happens. And I go back to 2002, and there was something called the Biscuit Fire. So anyhow, I go, this doesn't happen that often. Well, 2023, we had another fire, not of the same magnitude. right? But essentially, for someone like me, this disappears. I'm busy. I'm from a city. There's always things happening. Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
So what do? I go buy a house in 2019. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, we had the Crescent City big fire 2 years ago. That was
Yeah,
huge.
that was at the part of the flat fire.
No, that was a separate fire. This is one where we went through the Crescent City, where you guys were okay up here, but it shut down. We didn't have power.
We didn't have power,
for
and they
2
had
weeks.
and they had all these volunteers or police people
like
and
they did on
everybody.
the, Chetco
Just
Bar Fire, yeah.
amazing, and over for everyone nationwide. Now, when we were thinking, what if the fire comes? We could see it. Obviously, it was really, really close to see. Where can you go? There's only 3 roads away, right? One to the north, one to the south, and one into the mountains. So yeah, if something happens,
Yeah.
that's what we have.
And so that was a different emergency, right? It wasn't like this sudden thing. And,
Right, but
and
it
me
still
being
was-
here for a month, it occupied probably 3 weeks of my thinking. So it did have me think and look into what else could happen here.
Yeah. And
Right.
that's
So that was the beginning of the gravity of this thing for me.
Okay, when did you two put your heads together? Were you at a party enjoying? Because you were literally next door neighbors.
We were drinking wine. No,
Right. Wine.
Actually, we had attended a seminar put on by the Curry County Emergency Coordination fellow here, and works for this county. And he described the reaction to the tsunami alert we had last spring. You may remember.
talk about
Yeah,
that.
talk
when
about
the,
that. Yeah.
Well, we had an earthquake down off of the coast of Eureka, and it triggered the tsunami alert.
A 7, right? It was a 7.
Something like that, yeah. And the big siren down there in Harbor, blasted. You could probably hear it all over town.
It's scary, right?
And it went for like 20 minutes. I can't imagine living underneath that thing for 20 minutes as it was blasting. But nonetheless, I heard it. And so I said, okay, it's time to do something. What?
What do you?
Yeah.
What do you do? And I had no clue. And I walked out of the house and I'm thinking, I hear the siren. What am I supposed to do here? What is this?
Yeah.
So we attended a session put on by this emergency coordinator here in the county, and he described the county response to that. And I won't get into the details, but it was dismal, absolutely dismal. And when Ray and I both attended this seminar, as well as a couple other people here at the radio station attended it, and others as well. And we walked out and we were talking afterwards, and Ray and I both came to the conclusion that we're screwed. There's not going to be any help at all from the government officials, the city, the county, nobody. If this thing happens, if a serious tsunami or earthquake occurs, what are we going to do? So that's when Ray and I started talking about, well, it's an individual effort here. I mean, virtually every man for himself, basically. And the way I look at it is, if you see a serious earthquake occur and a disaster in this area, the emergency people are not going to be lined up like they were for the fires.
Right, with
Right,
plenty of time to come
exactly.
up and come in from all
With
over
lots of
town.
time to get organized. They're going to be home taking care of their own families, which I don't blame them a bit. So what happens to the rest of us? Well, you're on your own. And Ray and I started talking about, well, how can we, what can we do about that? So we came up with this idea of helping the local area, Brookings and the entire coastal communities, to prepare in advance for this and get cognizant of what the problem is and start to do things that can prepare them to deal with such a situation.
Wow.
Yeah, so that meeting that Wes talks about, that was strike 2 for me. Strike 1 was the fire, to recognize that there's only a handful of people here that can help.
Yeah.
And to get that many federal people here was just amazing to see. But then to hear people actually in a government entity with jobs to talk about this, it was dismal. There was nothing that could help. So that was strike 2 for me to say,
Wow.
yeah, this is an individual effort.
I think of all the bridges you pass over. Some you don't even know. Every little chasm we pass going up and down the coast have bridges, and those get knocked down. Where do we go? All right, time flies when we're having fun. It's already that mid-break time here on the Doc and Jacques live radio show, proudly broadcasting from KCIW 100.7 FM studio in lovely Brookings, Oregon, and beyond. The list of major supporters for this community radio are Advanced Airlines. Thank you. They are flying out of nearby Crescent City to Oakland and LA 7 days a week. We want to thank Michelle Bupert. Hello, Michelle, with our own vibrant local Curry County Chamber of Commerce. Nick and Lisa Rail, hello to you and your PPA, or your partnership with the performing arts. Thank you for your support. And lastly, my dear co-host, Dr. Gigi Reed, and yours truly, Jacques, on behalf of KCIW, thanks to all of you. We're going to go into this and run this for the next 30 minutes talking with you. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You guys know it. We had a little time before the show to talk about it. You emphasized you don't want to scare people. You're not here to scare people and say, oh, it's going to come and get you. But for the first time ever, Dr. Gigi and I, a few days ago, in preparation for the show, said, maybe we should pack a bug-out bag and put it in the garage or out in the well house and stock it with the things that we need, just in case. We live a mile from the coast. You guys live 100 feet from the coast, but you're up top of a cliff. You're lucky. Okay.
We're on sand.
So what are we... First, tell us about, let's back it up. Let's go to Cascadia Strong Radio. Tell us a little bit about that, the two of you, and what your intent is and what you want to do with this new radio show that will be aired here on KCIW.
All right, well, Cascadia Strong Radio is going to be a half-hour show, and with Ray and I involved. And the idea is to help people get a handle on what we're facing. You know, it's a major opportunity for fear. But, you know, the more you know about something and the more you understand it and the more you've taken steps to cope with it, the fear dissipates. So you prepare yourself mentally, you prepare yourself for your go bags and other sorts of things you might put in place. And the fear dissipates. Okay, now I feel confident. I feel ready. My family and I have a plan. We've got things in place. We know what to do. When the siren goes off, you just don't walk out and going, what do I do now? You know, you start taking action. And that's really what Cascadia Strong Radio is all about. How can you start? Now, the situation may be so huge, you go, golly, you know, I can't deal with this. I don't even know where to start. Well, that's what we're here to do. Start with one step at a time. Now, Ray has an outstanding approach. He says, every month I have something, I try to make one step forward every month. Just designate one day every month and take one step forward on this plan. Well, you do that enough times, and pretty soon you've got something in place that is pretty reasonable.
Okay, wait a minute. Ray, what do you mean? What do you mean taking one step? What are you doing?
So I'm going to back up just a second. So I'm your primary audience for this radio program. So when I met Wes, I'm talking to Wes every now and then about this. I recognize I'm totally naive. I don't know where to start. It's a massive thing in my head. So I don't do anything other than I talk to Wes and come home once in a while, look at my wife, and I go, we'll be screwed. No, so
Screwed.
So what we end up doing is, I don't know, Wes has a lot of information I learned, and I started to whittle away at it. So it's really, I'm going to do something. I'm going to go buy a go bag on eBay.
Okay.
I'm going to go...
One step, right?
I'm going to go buy those special flashlights in case it's
You
dark
wind
out
them
there.
up.
You
Wind up
them
ones. That's what we got after
Right.
the power outage.
Instead of using my, worn out clothing for when I'm painting outside, those are a little ripped. I'll throw them in the go bag, right? So it's just a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Or it was when, so one day I said, Wes, help me here a little bit. And Wes gives me a list of all of these things. I'm like, oh, geez, I don't even know what to do with all this. Well, guess what? It was Prime Day, right? Where you get everything on sale.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just went down his list, and if it was a Prime sale, I'm like, buy it, buy it, buy it.
Wow.
And then we get all the stuff, right? And all of a sudden I go to my wife, Donna, I go, what do I do with the, I'm a city guy. I'm not a outdoors guy. What do I do with this fancy stove thing? I don't even know how to start this. And she goes, read the direction.
I packed 400 cans of canned food, but I forgot a can opener, darn it.
Oh, we'll stop.
That is an issue.
Very, very interesting. All right, keep going about the Cascadia. Tell us a little bit more. We're interested.
Okay, so what our plan then is to help people get started in a small way and become more knowledgeable. That's the idea. Now, the thing of it is, neither Ray nor I are experts in all these areas. Some of these areas we haven't got a clue ourselves in. So what we want to do is we want to reach out to the community to find people that are knowledgeable about some of these areas and bring them into our show and interview them just as you're interviewing us.
Wow, great idea.
And coalesce a lot of expertise that then can be shared with the greater greater area.
So that really also shows that you're on your own because you're not a you were not a specialist. So you're taking it on yourself saying, well, I'll get specialists and I find out what do we need, what are your, the bag and the stove and whatnot. It's not like you knew it all in college. You got your information from other places. And then you're getting in touch with people who actually do that for a living or learned it somewhere, right? So that's
And the next step beyond that, Gigi, is not only are we finding experts, but we're also talking to people who have been through it.
Yeah.
We have people in town right here that have been burned out. They had 15 minutes to evacuate, and they lost their entire home, everything. Right? We have people here that experienced the Northridge earthquake down in Los Angeles and lived through that.
Yeah.
And what was that like? We've interviewed them, and they'll be part of our show as well. So as we listen to their experience and like the one woman that we talked to about the Northridge earthquake, she was in a hotel, and she'll relate this actually on our show. She says that she was down there she was in Los Angeles in Northridge for a seminar, and they were staying at like a Hilton hotel or something like that. And her roommate, this other woman, as they're going up to their room at night, she says, we ought to go to see what's at the end of the halls just so we know where the escape areas are. And this woman said, you don't need to do that. Why would you do that? Who cares? Well, they did that. Well, it turned out that night is when the earthquake hit. And they actually used those exits that they happened to go seize firsthand to escape from the hotel. Just a fortuitous thing. So as we learn from other people's experience, we can kind of become aware of our circumstance and become aware of perhaps things we just take a look at just casually so we know what to do if something happens.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you hear some of these stories they begin with a feeling of despair, right? That something's happening. It's actually happening. Then you hear how they got through it, how they survive and what they think. And what I find really interesting is their go around on the information. How are they going to improve in case it happens again?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember I said, I need to chunk this up into pieces and whittle away at it. Same thing with the show. I'm going to learn a whole lot by people who come on the show, a little at a time.
I lived through a hurricane while I came back and the house was destroyed from a hurricane. And it's just, it is amazing how much you learn going through it. I certainly don't want to do that again, but it was life changing. And I was just like that. I stood in front of the house. I couldn't even get in. I just picked up something and started crying. And these trucks stopped and they said, ma'am, we can help you. They actually drove down from Georgia, and I just cried because, wow, how many people can, anyway, to go through that, having people help. That was the first time I went through. 30 minutes before we evacuated, they say, hey, we have to evacuate, get everything that you need in a little box. You don't have time for anything else. So being a little bit more prepared next time, maybe I will be, possibly. With the Cascadia event, at least you have a little bit already done, right? You have been through that saying, well, maybe I can lose everything. But the biggest thing that I felt is somebody helping you, somebody being there. You're really not alone. And so if we are all prepared to a certain degree and learn how to, we can help each other, pull each other up on the shoestrings.
I like the idea of you taking guests that have survived some other disasters, and you're learning from them. Yeah. It's a half-hour show?
Yes, half-hour show. That's correct, yeah.
So if you had to put in a nutshell to favorize up for your show, your Balto show, is what can we do to prepare ourselves?
Well, be aware of what the situation is going to be.
Know what it is.
Know what it is. What are you dealing with here? And earthquakes are different than tsunamis, which are different than fires, which are different than smoke, which are different than heat, with all these other things. We're going to address all those. But what we've done here with Cascadia Strong is we put together a list of episodes. We've got about 35 episodes defined right now.
Whoa.
Because we started poking at this, it just became a Pandora's box. Every time you poked it, it's like the tar baby, right? You poke it and you find something else to poke. And so the topics are just amazing. I would have never thought about these things. For example, first off, there's several organizations already actively at work for years in the coastal areas. And we're going to be interviewing the people that are running those things.
Like who?
Well, for instance, let's see, I have a list of them right here. Cascadia Coastal Coalition, as an example.
Wow.
Okay. And there's the Curry County Community Organizations Active in Disaster Organization.
Wow.
The CC COAD, as they're called. The other one, Cascadia Coastal Coalition, CCC. We'll be talking to the people who run those. You've got the Red Cross. They're very active in these sorts of things. Now, the interesting thing I learned about the Red Cross, which we'll cover again when we talk to them, is that they have a service whereby you can find your loved ones when you become separated. I didn't know that.
Wow.
So, and that's one issue, that if something like an earthquake or something strikes here, your kids are at school, your wife's out doing this, you're out doing that, how do you get together? That's part of the plan you put in place.
Ooh,
if something happens, where are we going to meet? How are we going to do this? And you practice, you rehearse it, that sort of thing. So there's the organizations that are actually doing something now.
It gives me goosebumps.
Gives you goosebumps. It does. So you put together a plan. That's the one thing we're going to talk about, a disaster plan for the family. Take care of your family, your kids, your wife, yourself, even your pets. What are you going to do? So how do you do that? And so we'll be talking to people about how to develop a plan and then rehearse that plan to practice it so the kids know how this thing works, right? How you know how it works. Mental resilience. And you touched on that a moment ago with your PTSD. How can you become mentally strong to deal with these situations when they arise? You just don't fall apart. That'll be a session. Putting together your go bag. That's a key thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of information on the internet.
I can do that today, right?
Yeah. What do I have in it,
Yeah.
There's a variety of things that you should have in it. What about when the go bag's not enough? Okay, you've got a tsunami or an earthquake. Well, that's not over in an hour or two. I mean, certainly when, the San Andreas movie, right, with The Rock, the San Andreas falls over in half an hour and they're happy ever after.
But anyways,
right?
Yeah, right.
Rock saves the kids and the
On
girls.
a boat, he's skiing along a boat. Oh, so
but, when we live through this, it's going to be here for months. It's going to be here for months.
Yeah.
So what happens then? What happens in the aftermath? What's available to us? So we'll be talking to businesses. What have you done to prepare for this? That you can help take care of the people that are left here. Because as you said earlier, the bridges are going to be down. We're isolated here in Brookings. And who knows how, FEMA's not going to be jumping in Brookings to take care of us right off the bat.
Right, absolutely. And how are they going to get in other than flying in? But right.
Exactly right.
Our bridges are going to be the lifeline.
So they're going to be gone?
Going to be destroyed.
So what else should we have, beyond the go bag? Mm-hmm. And how do you deal with that? That's something. A power outage. Power is going to be gone.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Our main power line comes right down the coast from Coos Bay. It goes through the tsunami zones. Our substations are in the tsunami zone.
Yeah.
So
our power line came down from Medford, and that's where the burns were. It's burned in there.
Years ago, that's right.
That's right.
Knocked us out
That's
for
what
2
we
weeks.
didn't have power. Uh-huh.
So you don't have power?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? And what can you do to, like your cell phones? Maybe you have some sort of medical device that requires electricity. How are you going to provide power for that? So we'll be talking about that. Water. The water lines go under the ground.
Big one.
Well, as the ground buckles, all the water lines are
Guess
broken.
what?
Yeah.
We had during this big disaster, they cut off all the water, so they couldn't get any water in Crescent City. But hey, we were smart. We had a well.
Woo, we were proud.
The problem was, it was the electric pump that pumps it from the well to the house. So we had no water, and that was a real that was a real wake up.
So he actually he drove the car back, and he had this big old container, and he siphoned up the water and let
We
it
had the big
fill
tanks
in.
out
So
the back. That's 1,500 gallon, but we
that
had
was
no
pretty
way.
cool.
Yeah, we
yeah.
siphoned
Then
it
we
out.
Well, and some of these have, they're significant magnitude. They're simple things. Someone from out of town like me, right? I come from a different area of the country. Where do I even go? Right. Let's say I could get in my car. I never thought of a plan that maps out.
Yeah.
Or Donna, my wife, here, we're going to meet here. I'm going to bring the car. Something as simple as that. Mm-hmm. Never even thought of things like that.
Yeah, there's the search and rescue people. Okay, here's a great lesson. We know a good friend of ours is a search and rescue volunteer. And I said, are you always needing? We need so many people that be trained in the basic search and rescue. That could go out there and survive for hours, if not days, and helping someone else. But she says we're all volunteers, and in a big event, we're going to be our families come first. You referred to that earlier.
Yeah.
She said, I'm not obligated to. They don't pay me anything. If my family needs me, I'm with my family.
Absolutely.
And to talk about something, a disaster, possibly an earthquake, big earthquake, with all the damage that does, the liquefaction, and then possibly the volcano going, the tsunamis, it goes on and on and on. Mm-hmm. And this is a huge swath of our coast, huge swath. Wow. There has to be, we have to become more aware. I did not know anything about the Cascadia Subduction Zone until I met you two.
Wes, what kind of, maybe hit a couple more episodes that we're going to.
Well, some of the other episodes that we will be covering are what do you do for communications? Your cell phones? Right. The cell phone towers are down. Or if you don't have power, maybe your battery goes dead after a while. What do you do?
You can't get gas because the gas stations don't, fuel, because the gas stations don't work.
You're right.
Well, just go down to the ATM and withdraw
You
some money.
can't do that.
Your money's going to be frozen.
Yeah.
Well, I learned from Wes even there. I can go buy small cubes that are solar powered
We have a
that
couple
can
of
sell
those.
charge my cell phones.
Yes. We have a couple of those
Amazed.
too. But what happens if this happens during a
Winter.
10-day winter rainstorm? That's we are very well acquainted with that.
Well, you don't have to worry about water then.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right. We
that's
don't have to worry
true.
about water. Yeah, we got it.
But, we think about water for drinking water, but you got to flush a toilet too.
Right.
Have you ever been without a toilet? That's a big
Well,
problem.
without water, but
Absolutely. So, there's that. What about our shut-ins and our people that are hard to
exactly.
My goodness.
immobile, basically?
Yeah.
What happens with them? Who helps them? Is there a plan in place to, we know this person over here is a shut-in or bedridden or something. How are they going to get out? Well, what are we going to do for that? So the neighborhoods, the community has to come together to look out for each other.
Yep.
I think that's going to be
What
something.
about the hospital, Gigi? Did they have a emergency
They do.
generator, but that needs gas.
Yeah,
Right.
but they have enough gas to last for a little bit. But yeah, you're right, because not everything is actually powered with a generator. So, for example, the outpatient clinic where I worked, we didn't have any electricity, but the hospital or powered,
They brought in diesel
gas-powered.
generators when Crescent City
Yeah,
had the
like-
fire last 2 years ago. When they brought in those generators, but they had to bring them way around because the road was shut down from Medford, and so we were stranded there, and they had to go clear down and around. It was just it was.
And they provided the gas, right? Didn't they say 42,000 gallons
a day.
a day of that to provide?
They
and
had
it
to
was
light up the whole
free.
city.
Yeah,
we were
it was
completely
free
without
for-
electricity.
Yeah.
So there's backups in place for a lot of things, but it's interesting to think about what happens if they're not there or they
They can't make
they
it
finish.
in, right? Yeah.
So, how do you operate?
yeah.
Like, how does a neighborhood, I like what you brought up, Wes, how does a neighborhood operate for their neighbors? How does a community operate?
And of course, there's the food. You can't go to wherever to get food because there is no food that you can go to a restaurant to. So how do you address that? Is that in your to-go bag?
Oh, this big container of 120 meals.
Oh,
Wes gave me a list, and I'm like looking at this thing.
It's called my truck through the window Safeway. That's what it's called.
That's right.
It might refer to that. Oh, look, everybody's looking at me so seriously.
Wait, what is that? My truck?
I'll get my truck and smash through the window at Safeway. That's how
Oh,
I
you
get
mean-
food.
Go steal it.
Oh,
I didn't say that. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Damn,
Don, if you're
Well, if you
listening,
steal
this
less
is what
than
we're having for dinner
steal
tonight.
less than $9,000, they won't prosecute you.
Is that right? Okay, good. All right, I'm taking 8.5.
back on track here.
So the other thing that's interesting to me is what happens to your purchasing system, your commerce.
Oh my
you know,
goodness.
all of a sudden now you can't get money, so you got a barter system. Well, I don't know about you, but I've never bartered anything. I don't even know how. So what we need to do is find somebody to help us learn what's the key of bartering. How do you do that? How does that work? How do you prepare for it? So I'd like to know something about that. So we're going to have someone come on the air and discuss bartering with us.
Wow.
Whoa.
How cool is that? Crypto, man. Crypto's the way to go.
Crypto, absolutely.
Jacques, you can get by on jokes.
Yeah.
Traded jokes for their
But we have no money.
candy
We
bar.
have no electricity, no water, trauma injuries in the worst case scenario, cars that aren't running because no gas, food issues. I mean, we would have to be a community that comes together.
Absolutely.
To help each other.
And this is a long-term deal. We're talking probably weeks or months. One of the senior general managers in the area that I was talking with was talking to somebody in Salem, an emergency coordinator in Salem up here. And he asked him the question, what's the state going to do when a Cascadia event happens? He said, it's going to have total devastation. And the emergency manager out of Salem the government, Oregon government, said, well, I'm going to call the Navy. The Navy will send a ship, put it offshore, and we'll run power to, from the ship. The ship has generators and can do that.
And hospital ships, I guess, too.
Oh,
And hospital ships.
maybe
But
so.
we're down here in Brookings.
Yeah, true.
We're down here in the corner
Portland's
of the state.
going to get a lot
Maybe
more.
Portland's going to get a
Yeah.
generator.
Yeah.
But what about us? And so we have kind of a unique situation in that we've got to be a little more resourceful. How are we going to do that? And that's what the radio program's all about.
Yeah.
Just discuss these issues, throw it out there, say, okay, and everybody looks at it and says, okay, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. And we come together and come up with something that we can survive.
And we said before that it's really about individual preparedness.
Yeah.
We're also hoping that by getting some of these people from organizations on the program, that we can elevate the awareness a bit, where maybe there are other ways they can engage or begin to engage and have the discussions amongst themselves. And it could be anything from the business owners in the community to the governmental entities to people volunteering to that. I mean, they have some knowledge and maybe they're willing to impart it by their volunteer work.
Yeah, working together, helping each other. I mean, that will get the communities together because it is super, really important. Because what I don't know what to do, you can help me, and maybe I have some.
Okay, but what about? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, remember I said at the beginning that here I experienced this fire and it's traumatic in my head, and then when it's not there, it goes away. So this radio program is an opportunity to keep a conversation alive that maybe we need to think about periodically.
Keep it updated. How about folks out there listening? You know how to turn off your gas line at your house, for instance? Where is your gas line? We get the butane, right? Or the
propane.
propane. We get.
There's a thingy on there.
Yeah, there's a thingy on there. But your water, I still don't know where your water.
I don't think we can.
Yeah, I could go to just turn it off. Okay, so how many of us know these things? Right. Just that alone.
Something to check out now. Now, one other thing I would mention to you, as Ray mentioned early on, I gave him a list. He went down to Prime on Amazon Prime Day, started buying stuff. I went on Amazon Prime, and I'm doing some research on the water issue. How do you get potable water, drinkable water? And I found this item on Amazon that's water pills,
right?
Water solution. You add this to so many gallons of water, it makes it good for 5 years. You can store it. And I'm going, wow, this is good stuff. A little expensive. But I said, wow, this is really good. So I didn't look at it all that hard, so I bought it. It was like $30 for this. And I bought 3/4 of an ounce of household laundry bleach.
Oh,
for $30.
My goodness.
Now, was I irritated when I found that out?
Right.
You bet I was. So one thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about products. We can't endorse products, I know that. But we're going to talk about the general, acquiring stuff to help you. And you can get scammed. I mean, I spent $30 on 3/4 of an ounce of household bleach.
I buy a whole gallon for $1.50.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, don't bring that over for wine time.
Yeah, I got wine and food. That's another. Just the refrigerator. We have freezers too, right? They went out. So now what do? We remember our freezer. We had to. How did we get around that? I forget.
We gave some to your friend.
Oh yes, we gave we
to Victoria.
Yep.
Thank you for taking our freezer stuff.
Thanks, Victoria, if you're listening. That's right. She took it in. Brookings was unaffected, but that's right. We had so much frozen.
And luckily, we could drive up there. I mean,
that's true. There was no
the bridge
bridges.
was
that
still
were
going. Yeah.
So we've all lived through this. How many people do we know in this area that have survived the Paradise Fire? I know.
Oh, so many
Mike
people.
Powell and Teresa.
Yeah.
And the Whiskey River, or the Whiskey down in Redway, or I can't think of the name of the town now, just south.
Anyway.
Okay, anyway. So many people.
So there were so many people displaced because of the
They live
fire.
here in this
Lots
community.
of people.
Mike and Teresa are who we've already interviewed. We'll be talking with them.
Even better yet. Fascinating. Yeah. Really? You've had them on the show?
Yeah, we got that show in the can.
Oh, my goodness. How cool is that? So they have stories. So my sister got burned out in the Santa Rosa fire. 15 minutes, like you said, came back, absolutely scorched everything to the earth.
Yeah.
And people are just recuperating. So
lost everything.
And so that's the other thing. If you lose everything, you cannot go and dig through what you have and do do, right? It's done. It's gone.
it's gone.
So
And you have-
now what?
You have
right?
different kind of events, right? So the fire is something that there is a little bit, there is a certain amount of time
Yeah.
to do something.
Well,
Right.
Yeah.
An earthquake,
Well, yeah.
tsunami,
Right. Yeah.
that comes on pretty fast.
Right.
That's the tough
I
one.
mean, what about these houses that are like right along the jetty and in Crescent City that are right along Pebble Beach Road that are there? They're level with the ocean or just
Yeah, they're right on
20
water
feet,
almost,
right?
yeah.
Boy, hang on. There's some really beautiful homes, and it's going to affect us. Okay, let's bring it back to kind of surmise this whole thing. Scientists are saying that it's overdue. I've heard several people have said it's like every 300 years. Well, we could do the math
3 to
here,
500,
right?
yeah.
And it's overdue, and we know that one tectonic plate is moving in, and the other one's going to catch and buckle. The way water works is fascinating to me, that the ocean can create these huge tsunamis, but they're realistic threats. So in a nutshell, what would you say? Is there anything comforting you could say to people instead of just getting everybody freaked out? I mean,
Preparation.
just preparation.
Preparation, yeah. Address it with a clear mind, a clear head, and what can I do to help my family and my neighbors get through this and get to the other side? And it's
Maybe
all
a
about
neighborhood
preparation.
watch for this kind of a.
Something I think the working together is, and go back to that. I mean, I would guess the houses are going to be damaged to a certain degree, if not wiped out. Go back saying, hey, did that lady get out of the house? Go back and find people who might be trapped, right? If we know who lives where, then go. Did they
No
make
matter
it
how
out?
small your neighborhood, it's
Yeah.
still a neighborhood.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Awareness, preparation, and preparation of varying degrees. As long as you get started, you
Wow.
have a chance.
Ray Simon and Wes Bruning. Wow, what a fascinating hour it has been. We've talked about 45 minutes, and we just started getting going, right? I mean, did we not? We could carry this on and on and on. Please let us know. how
Or
it's
the
going.
listeners can listen to Cascadia Strong Radio and get it all detailed out. I can't wait
mid-March.
for that. Yeah,
I'm looking at
it's gonna
Tom
be cool.
Bozak, and the engineer. Is that a thumbs up for these guys? You've helped them record it, right? Yeah, he's given us a thumbs up. So you've got these in the can, and they're ready to be broadcast. So let us know. We will do everything we can to get the word out about such an important.
We appreciate
show.
that greatly.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you.
appreciate you guys coming on the show.
Is
All
it
right,
going to be
Doc.
on YouTube too at the end then? Will it be, or podcast it, right?
Podcasting.
Yes, very cool.
All right,
I'd like to have a
Doc.
website as well that focuses on this area.
Oh, well, tell us about the website.
Well, it needs
it's
to
not
be.
yet?
We need to find someone to help us do that.
Yeah,
Oh.
same with us. When you find them, send them our way, okay? All right, we got to close out the show right now, do we not?
No, we still have 30
We have-
seconds to go.
okay,
You
I
can
got a
get a
joke.
joke, please.
Okay, life will not break your heart. It'll crush it, said Henry Rollins.
What?
I don't know. I just
taking
found that old. Yeah, I found one of your old. Sure. Right. Dr. Gigi says that I'm street smart. Sesame Street smart.
That
Darn
one
it.
is cute. Okay, you're done
Okay,
with your
are we
jokes.
ready?
Guess what? You and I and our guests have been listening to the Doc and Jacques Variety Show on KCIW 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon. We certainly hope you have enjoyed our show as much as we have learning about the Cascadia event with Wes Bruning and Ray Simon.
Yep, and indeed. Peace and prosperity to everyone out there. Thanks again, Tom Bozak, Linda Bozak for listening, all the listeners, Judy and Donna. Good show here. We wish to thank all those people that make this show possible to be aired up and down our beautiful but endangered coast. Now we know. Mail us if you know of an interesting person at docandjacques@gmail.com. And now stay tuned for the Tony Durso show. I talked to him last night, folks. We have entertainment guests all the month of February. Stay tuned.
Bye.